Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new series here on Jordan and Drew the Sports Crew. This is going to be our EWC Boys and Girls Basketball Breakdown, a new weekly podcast coming to you each and every Tuesday morning. And this is going to be a fun time. Jordon Lawrenz here on solo duty. That's how it'll be. Maybe I'll have a guest from time to time. But this is meant to be short, 10, 15 minutes, just short little news pieces of sorts, talking about games from the last week, talking about standings, stat leaders, and games to look ahead for this week in the Eastern Wisconsin Conference Division. So, let's start. We had a lot of games last night, actually. There were 5 total, combining the men and the women. St. Mary Springs beat New Holstein. We're going to start with men's basketball always, and then we'll get to the women after. So if you just want to listen to the girls' basketball, you can tune in to the end. If you just want to listen to the boys, you can start with it. And if you want to listen to it all, thank you for being a part of this ride. So, St. Mary Springs boys beat New Holstein 84-43. Chilton beats Oconto by 10 points, 68-58, so a good win for Chilton. There are a few stats in, and Chilton had 4 players in double digits. Wilcox led the way with 17, and then there was a pair of players with 14 and 13 as well. So that is a big-time game for Chilton. And then TR goes down by just 2, a very tough loss, 59-57 to Sturgeon Bay, but I mean, that's a close game for Two Rivers, who's been hot as of late, and Sturgeon Bay is a D3 team. They're 5-11 now overall in the Packerland Conference, but yeah, we just got a lot more non-con games coming up, including tonight. If you're listening on Tuesday, we've got 5 of them. 5 non-conference games before conference action kicks off again on Friday. Winnebago Lutheran is at Kiel, Denmark at Roncalli, Laconia at Sheboygan Falls, Brilliant at Shiacon, and Valders at Kewanee. So only Kiel, Roncalli, and Falls actually get to host games here tonight. But that Valders game scheduled for a 7:30 tip-off, so a little late on a Tuesday night. But that's what's happening there. Non-con games around the board until we get to Friday. Let's take a look at the standings real quick before we preview these upcoming games. So we're looking at the EWC boys right now, and standings-wise, it hasn't changed a whole lot. Brilliant 9-0 up top. They're the only unbeaten team, 17-0 overall. Roncalli has 2 losses on their resume. Both of them came in the same week, as they're 8-1 in conference, losing that game to Brilliant, one of the top games of the year. Speaking of, Kiel is right behind them at 7-2. That Roncalli and Kiel game, oh my goodness. Drew and I were there calling it on the radio, actually. We could not have had a better game. Kiel at 7-2 in conference. Valders at 6-3. And then that's your top tier of 4. And Chilton at 3-6, TR at 2-7, New Holstein at 1-8, and Falls at 0-9. So you can kind of see how the tiers are shaping out there. New Holstein at Chilton. This will be a good game. I mean, Chilton's 3-6, and New Holstein is 1-8, but I don't see how this couldn't be. I mean, it could be at Chilton in their favor. This is the second time that these teams are meeting, but at the end of the day, you never know what can happen. And the first time they met, it was an 86-68 win for Chilton. Obviously, that one at New Holstein, so now we're seeing the rematch at Chilton. Roncalli is at Sheboygan Falls, so that's 8-1 Roncalli against 0-9 Sheboygan Falls. I'm sure we all can expect what'll happen in this game, but I mean, if Roncalli has an off day somehow or something bad happens, you never know. In Falls, they like to fight, so they'll be hanging in there every step of the ways. The Jets head to Sheboygan Falls the first time these two teams played. It was an 85-47 win for Roncalli, and that featured a 32-point performance from Luke Pouts. Player of the Year candidate, without a doubt right now. Kiel is at Two Rivers, so those two teams will be meeting in TR. Kiel's looking to continue their winning ways, and Two Rivers is a team some of us didn't think they would be playing as well as they are. So it's really good to see a 61-39 win for Kiel the last time these two teams met. And Kiel has a chance to win 4 in a row if they're able to beat Winnebago Lutheran tonight, but that's a lot easier said than done. And then Brilliant at Valders. That is our final EWC game coming up on Friday, and Brilliant is yet to lose. And now they head to Valders, and Valders has a tough slate coming up. Brilliant and Valders, the first time they played, it was earlier in the year, December 16th, 64-58. It was close. This was a very close game. Valders was only down by 4 at the half. Then they were outscored by just 2 points in the second half. So that's big time stuff from Valders. We'll see if they can do it again, but Valders coming up, they have a man. Valders 6-8 overall in the year. They've got themselves Brilliant on Friday, and then an afternoon game at Sheboygan Lutheran on Saturday. We talked about that on the main pod. Jordan drew the Sports Group, episode 47. Go ahead and give that a listen if you haven't already. But those are the big ones there. And then we've got a few more games before our next episode drops next Tuesday, which obviously will be February 8th. Like I said, Valders at Sheboygan Lutheran. Then Sheboygan Falls at Hartford Union. This could be good. 3-13 Hartford Union. They are Division 1, but Sheboygan Falls, they've got a chance there. So we'll see what happens in that one. And then coming up next Monday, about a week from today, Way Fremont at Brilliant. And then Two Rivers is at Southern Door. So that rounds out the boys' action. And now let's take a look at the Ewc Girls as we're about 6 minutes into the podcast. Perfect. This is exactly what I intended for it to be, It's a work in progress, right? This is the first one. Figure out what works, what doesn't work. But let's talk about these girls. And we saw some games last night, just 2 of them. But Mishicot and Brilliant, that had potential to be one of the games of the year. Brilliant has now lost 3 games, only 1 in conference, but that Mishicot team is something else. 13-3 overall. Mike Garceau's Michigan in the Big East North Conference. They end up beating Brilliant 47-38. And then Sheboygan Falls represents the EWC as they beat Southern Door 55-32. So those are the big ones wanted to talk about. Now let's take a look at what we got coming up. This Tuesday, tonight, if you're listening on Tuesday, Kiel is at Plymouth and Kewaskum is at New Holstein. Kewaskum and New Holstein could be an interesting one. Kewaskum 16-2 in Division 3. They're a part of the East Central, and New Holstein is 16-3 also in Division 3. We should have a great non-conference game at New Holstein here tonight. Other than that, let's go to Thursday. That's all we got. We got Tuesday games and Thursday games, and then they're playing next Tuesday once again, so I'll be able to preview those next week on the podcast. But let's talk about what we got coming up. So, Ewc Girls Standings right now. Roncalli at the bottom. We're going bottoms up this time. Roncalli 0-10 in the EWC, and they get to host Brilliant. And that is no easy test. Brilliant is 9-1 right now in EWC action, and man, these Jets are in for it tonight. Hosting Brilliant, but still, I mean, that is not going to be easy. And we do know that Brilliant's only loss did come to Kiel, who is third at 8-2, but New Holstein is 8-2 as well. So it is a tight race for first place. Brilliant and Roncalli, the first time they played, it was a 59-30 win for the Jets. New Holstein at Chilton. This should be a good game. 8-2 New Holstein heads to 6-4 Chilton, and I expect great things from this one. It's at Chilton, obviously, so you always give the advantage to the home team. But the first time Chilton met New Holstein, once again, this was on December 14th. It wasn't even close. 78-38 New Holstein win. So we'll see if Chilton made some adjustments and can come out, maybe not on top, but at least a little bit closer. They would certainly love that because a 40-point loss the first go-around. Yikes. Two Rivers is at Kiel. TR 4-6 in the conference. Kiel 8-2. And Kiel obviously only 4 losses on the year. First time Kiel and TR met, it was in Kiel. That was in TR. Tonight's game is in Kiel. And Kiel ended up winning by 20, 57-37. And then we go to our final game. Valders is at Sheboygan Falls. Valders and Falls is the final matchup. Valders 4-6 in the conference. Sheboygan Falls 1-9. Sheboygan Falls 5-14 overall. I'm sure you can guess who their only conference win came against. And here we are. And now this matchup between Valders and Falls. Valders won 47-26 the first time around. That was on December 14th, so only putting up 26 points. But Falls does have that conference win under their belt. It was against Roncalli, but still, they got a 10-point win on January 11th, and that's what we got. Brilliant on top, Roncalli on bottom, and it's not like that in the boys basketball. It's Brilliant and Roncalli right up there at the very top. So thank you all for listening. This will do it for the first ever EWC Boys and Girls Basketball Breakdown. Once again, we're going to be doing these each and every week, talking about what happened last week and then previewing the week's games to come. When there's other big sports talk, we will include that on these weekly EWC episodes. Once again, I'm Jordon Lawrenz. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget EWC_sports on Instagram. We got a Facebook and Twitter as well, as does Jordan Drew, the sports crew, at JD Sports Pod on Twitter, Jordan Drew _sports crew on the Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, Jordan Law _PXP. Thank you all for listening to this EWC basketball breakdown, and we will see you all next week.